Now, when we think about honoring our father and mother and obeying our parents, in 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 2, the defining characteristic or the defining trait of the end times is that children will be what? Will be disobedient to their parents. And as many of you know, that's a huge problem in our youth today. Partly because for us parents, it's easier to entertain our kids than it is to train our kids. Training our kids is hard work. Amen? Isn't the easy way out of just handing them the phone and letting them watch their favorite show? If I can keep them at the dinner table, let's just have them watch something. But we're not training them. We're not training them to look at adults and at the table and being involved in the conversation and getting them to talk about things and getting them to listen to people older than them and to let them respect by keeping their mouth shut and focusing their eyes and their attention on the things around. Because most of us we grew up without a cell phone, without a tablet, without any of those things. And guess what? We had to sit at the dinner table. And every day I had to sit there and I had to listen to my dad talk about his day. And there is great value in that, to listen to my father and talk about how he represented Jesus in the workforce and the things that he went through and the struggles that he went through. But you and I know that when we go out to dinner, what happens? All the kids are on their tablets and all their kids are looking at stuff and they're just to the screens and they're just looking at those things. And I think we're really doing a disservice to our kids today. Because we're taking the easy way out. And as you know, that when you take those screens away, you've created a monster. They're not nicer people. They're angry at you. Why? Because you took their entertainment away. And we really need to teach our kids that life is not about being entertained. It's not about just focusing on ourselves and what do I want to watch and what do I want to do. And a lot of times our kids can be the one that run the family. Well, what do you want to eat? Well, where do you want to go? What do you want to do? We need to stop asking our kids what they want to do and start telling them what they're going to do. And when our kids learn to honor our father and mother, for us men in this room, it is our responsibility to protect our wives and to tell our kids, you will not talk to your mother that way. You will not give that eye roll to her that way because that is your mother. And as your father and as the husband and the priest in this home, you will not treat my wife that way. That is all a part of the training. Now, do I do that at my home? Hey, look at my kids. Sometimes they're just a complete disaster. But I'm trying. And I'm not perfect. I don't have it all together. But training, it's interesting because, the verse that we all know is Proverbs 13:24. He who spares the rod hates his child. And we like that. Spare the rod. Get out the whip. Bam! Those of us who are older when spanking was not frowned upon, we talk about what happened, how our dad, spanked us and stuff. And I could go into that, but I'm not. But yeah, but after that, spare the rod, if he who hates his child, spares the rod. But it goes on, it says, but he who loves him is careful to discipline him. That word careful meaning that consistent. That they know the rules of the household. They know that if you go over that line and you disobey your mom, then you're going to have me to deal with. And you're either going to have good dad or bad dad. And I don't mean bad dad, and we're going to get into that, what bad dad means, but it means, man, you are losing responsibilities. You're losing different things that you hold dear to your life. Because the main object of us parents, if our kids, is to train the heart of our kids. To train the heart of our kids to listen to authority, because who's the ultimate authority? It's God. And if your kids are not listening to your authority, they're definitely not listening to God's authority. And they're going to come out and they're going to graduate from your family and they're going to believe that what they say goes, and in the real world, does that really happen? No. The world will eat them up. But you know what? It is hard to be a parent. And I'm going to encourage you out there, don't give up the fight. There's some days when both my wife and I are sitting on the couch and we're like, what do you want to do? Nothing. Nothing. We just got killed. Right? Around 6, 7 o'clock, it's like arsenic hour at our family. It's just, what has happened to our kids? But look at verse 4. It says, fathers, do not provoke your children to wrath, but bring them up in the training and the admonition of the Lord. And I looked at that, and that word fathers can also be used as parents in general. Do not provoke, meaning do not be rigid or domineering, have a domineering authority. You know, as fathers, as priests in our home, we need to act like our high priest. Does our high priest yell at us? Does our high priest talk down to us? Does our high priest lose his cool with us? Does our high priest demean us? Now, I know that there's things that our kids do that drive us nuts. But when we're in the flesh, we tend to yell, or we tend to say things that we later regret. But thank the Lord that God doesn't treat us that way. And so when it talks about not provoking your children to wrath, you don't want to give your children a reason why they're treating you the way that they're treating you. Because it's hard to say, hey, you need to respect me, which they do, when we're yelling at them and we're demeaning them and we're telling them things that God wouldn't tell us. And you know, when I counseled students who have a problem with honoring their father and mother, I like to have their parents there as well. Why? Because kids are not afraid to expose the secrets of the house. You know, there's some things that happen in your family that you just don't want everybody to know. And I'm not talking about things that you would go to jail for, but just some things. You know, we tell our daughters, there's some things that stay between you as daughters. I have 3 of them. Mom and Dad doesn't need to know everything that happens. There's some secrets that you guys can keep. We don't need to know everything. And you know what? There are some things that happen around the Dupar house that we don't really want everybody at Calvary Chapel to know about. And I was going to tell this story. My wife would hate it if I did. And so I'm not. But I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about physically hurting our kids. We're talking about really stupid things that have happened. That we go, hey, you know what? This is something that we need to work on. And let's not share it, but how many times have we're out together, or we're at a home group, and my kid comes in and goes, hey, everybody, guess what happened today? And I'm just like, oh, my goodness. For us parents, it's our duty to train our children up in the ways of the Lord. But listen to this. God uses our children to train us. God uses our children to train us in patience, in love, in generosity, and in selflessness.